Good afternoon and welcome to Let's Talk TCI Real Estate. Yes, it is Thursday and we are on live. I'm on live with Let's Talk TCI Real Estate. Please like and please share the page. Before I get started today, I just would like to, just share this book, just in case you haven't purchased your copy. No, this isn't my book. This is just a book about sayings in the Turks and Caicos Islands. I found it very amusing. I found it very funny. This is written by Miss Debbie Lee Smith Mills and Sherwood Blossom Smith. No, they have not asked me to advertise this book, but since it was published, I've been meaning to get myself a copy of this book. And each time I went to the bookstore, it sold out so fast. I'm finally able to put my hands on it. And trust me, it is a very good read. If you haven't purchased one, I would encourage you to support our local author and purchase one of these books. You would not be disappointed. All right, so back to my show. So basically, real estate, Let's Talk TCI Real Estate is a show that you can learn about real estate in the Turks and Caicos Islands, and also you can connect with the various professional sectors, that plays a role in your real estate transaction. So knowledge is power, learning is an everyday process, and so I am just excited about sharing on Let's Talk TCI Real Estate so that we can learn together about real estate in the Turks and Caicos. The show today is actually about question and answers. So it gives you an opportunity to ask me any questions that you would have, and I would do my best to try and answer them for you. You are learning and so am I, because if I don't know the answer to your question, guess what? I'm gonna look it up and make sure that I have the answer for the next person who asks me that question. I will be able to answer them in an educated way. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put it in the comments section. I will do my best to answer you with those questions. I also would like to say this segment as well. If you don't have any questions, I always have something prepared. So today I am going to be just talking a little bit about listing a property for sale. So there are 7 key points that I actually have that I would want to share with you. You may find questions as I go along that you would want to ask in relation to what I'm speaking about, but just so you know, the questions doesn't have to be about what I'm talking about. It can just be general real estate questions that you have, and I will do my best to help you answer. I'm not afraid to say if I don't know the answer, but I am definitely always willing to find the answer for you and get back to you with that response, even if it is after the show. So please leave your comments in the section. All right, I would like to say one last time before we start, please like and share the page. And what's really good about the show is that when it's done, you can always watch it again on Facebook or my YouTube channel, which is Vernica Delancy, where you can watch it in slow motion at your leisure time and be able to really soak in the information that is shared, all right, about the process. And before we move forward, I would just like to say a very special thank you to my guest from last week's show, Mr. Vinny Thompson from New York. He graced us with his presence last week, and I would like to say to him, thank you so much for coming and sharing the differences about the purchasing process in the Turks and Caicos versus the United States, and more specifically in New York. I learned a lot, and I'm sure that those who were listening also learned as well. And just for anyone who would like to reach out to him or contact him about any information about real estate in New York, his slogan is Ask Vinny Thompson. Whether it's on his website, askvinnythompson.com, or his YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, it's Ask Vinny Thompson. Thank you so much again, Mr. Vinny Thompson. Right, so now for the show. And definitely, we're not here to be all day. The show is 45 minutes, but if you don't have any questions, I'm just gonna keep trotting along until we're done with the 7 points that I have actually prepared for you today, right? So basically, I'm just trying to make sure I can see if any questions come in. Just trying to be able to have my phone set up, just in case any questions come in. I will be able to see them, right? So I'm also going to share my screen with you today just a little bit. So it's not just going to be all talks, but definitely if you have a question, put it in the comment section. Let me know where you're listening from and send those questions along, right? Your opportunity to ask a real estate question. You don't have to be shy. No question is too simple. No question is stupid. No question is dumb. Every question is asked for a reason. It's probably not just for you, but for all those who are listening. So today's focus is going to be about listing a property for sale. So my first point that I would like to speak about today is, what is the time frame for listing a property? So most times when someone brings a property to us to list for sale, they want to know how long is this listing agreement with the real estate agent. So basically you can have a listing agreement for 6 months or 1 year at a time, the initial listing agreement. Okay, if you have any other arrangement other than 6 months to 1 year at a time, it has to be after that period of time, once you are with the Turks and Caicos Real Estate Association. So basically, why is there a time limit of 6 months to 1 year at a time? So I would say that the longer time frame of 1 year is always recommended because the average days on market for most properties can be up to 1 year. So you want to be able to give that real estate agent an opportunity in order to have sufficient time to market their property in the best way possible and to get a sale. And also when you're thinking about where that property is located, sometimes just for example, it may be on one of the islands where the market is not as strong, you would need a longer time. So that's why, for most agents, they will ask for a recommended time of 1 year for listing, but that doesn't mean if the property is priced right and it's in a very good location that it would not sell within a very quick time. And definitely in this market where property is in high demand and it's a seller's market, properties are actually moving very quickly off the market. But definitely if you're listing a property for sale, your agent may say to you, we need at least 6 months to 1 year in order to have an agreement with you. During this time, the property goes through a phase of marketing. So for example, in the Real Estate Association, they produce a real estate magazine twice per year. If someone lists a property with you, they would want that property to get into the magazine, if it isn't sold as yet. So the time it takes for the magazine to come out, if you have a listing that's less than that time, your property may not have made the real estate magazine. So you want to make sure that it's sufficient time to get it marketed in the best possible light in the magazines, et cetera, right? So that these magazines are distributed to a very large audience, and you want to make sure that your listing actually gets in that magazine so that it can reach the required audience. And in talking about marketing, just so you know, each agent has their own marketing strategy. So when you're listing a property with an agent, feel free to ask that person, what are you going to do for me to market my property? Tell me what are the steps. Tell me what are your methods. And that agent should have a strategy in mind as to what they are going to do with your property in order to achieve those results. Okay? So don't be afraid as an owner. You have the right to ask the agent, what are you going to do to market my property for sale? The second point I would want to say, some people normally will ask, well, can I use more than one real estate company to list my property? Yes, this is a question that we get all the time. This concept is actually referred to as a co-list on a property, right? Yes, you can use more than one company to represent your property. Both brokerages, however, would have to sign one multiple listing agreement so that both brokerages are aware of the agreement. So yeah, so you can actually go and say, well, okay, I would like to hire someone from Keller Williams Turks and Caicos, as well as Sotheby's Turks and Caicos to represent my property. That's not a problem. But in doing so, you have to have one agreement, which we call the multiple listing agreement, that has to be signed by both brokerage companies so that both companies are on the same page as to the listing requirements of your property. So there's one agreement, but it can be done between two companies. Now, many persons will have different reasons for asking that question to be able to list. It could be that they just want to list, have two friends that they cannot choose from. It could be that they feel like they can get more exposure. There are so many reasons why a person may decide to use two different brokerages at the same time to list their property. It can be done, but it's one agreement that has to be signed so that each person can have the same requirements. So for example, you cannot have one company, say Sotheby's, listing your property at 1.2 million, and then you have Keller Williams listing your property at 1.3 million, because remember, it's the same system, and buyers are going to see the same property and be able to say, well, why is one listed more than the other? So you have to have one agreement so that both brokerages are on the same page and are adhering to the same terms and conditions about your property. So that's the only thing I would say about that needs to be clear if you decide to use more than one company to list your property. All right? Third point I would like to say is that whenever you are listing your property for sale, each owner would be required to give, that owner would be required to give a copy of their land register. The land register obviously shows proof of ownership, right? So proof of ownership that you actually own that property. You may say, Vernica, why are you stating this information? Anytime someone is listing your property, just for example, you have, just say 4 persons own one parcel of land. We need to see the land register because guess what? We need to receive consent from 4 of the individuals whose name would be on that land register. Because we cannot take it for granted that John has contacted me about listing his property for sale and the other 3 persons do not want to sell, right? So we have to be able to know for sure everyone whose name is on the register so that we can have a correspondence and contact each of those individuals to make sure that they are on the same page about selling their property. We have to ensure that you have the right to sell. So if you are asked about, if it's asked that if you would like for your property to be listed for sale, once the agent asks you about a land register, that's one of the main things we're trying to establish, that you have the rights to sell that property. So every real estate agent must be able to produce that. Now, for any seller who doesn't have a copy, your agent can assist you in acquiring a copy. Other than that, it's very easy to acquire a copy through the land registry department. All right? So that's the third thing I wanted to say. Of course, if you have a question, like I say, today is about question and answers. Don't let me just keep talking. Please put your questions in the comment section. If you have a question, please feel free to do so. The fourth point that I would like to speak about then, if there isn't any question, if you are looking to sell again, and the person name that is on the land register, if that person is deceased, you would want to make sure that that particular register, that parcel needs to be administrated on, or the land will have to be to go and probate the property in order for you to get proper title access. So there is a difference, of course. If there's a will, then it's probate, and if there isn't a will, then you would administrate on the property. But the main thing about it is, if you are selling a property, so for example, it could be generational property, and you have a copy of a land register with your grandfather's name on it. But of course, your grandfather is deceased. So before you are able to sell that property, you would need to actually have that property administrated on, or have an attorney assist you with the probate process. There are many attorneys that can assist with this process. But on the other hand, I would say this: you may have a property that is owned by 2 individuals. One may have deceased, just say a husband and wife. One may have deceased and one is alive. The process is a bit different for that. So because most times husband and wife takes on title as joint proprietors. So which means that the property automatically goes over to just the wife alone, because they have it in as joint tenants, and they have the same rights. So in this case, you don't have to go through a whole administrative probate process. You can actually produce a copy of the death certificate, and it's a more simpler process to have that person's name removed from the land register. Again, this is something that your attorney can assist you with, but I'm just making mention of it because the process is more simple than if you have to administrate or do a probate on the particular property. All right, but this is very important to know. If you are selling a property or looking to sell a property and that person is deceased on the land register, you have to be able to clear up the title, to clear up access before you are able to sell that property, right? I hope that that's clear. So that's something, you know, these are things about the listing process that persons always ask us. And so that's why I feel that it's very important to go over some of these steps just so you understand the process, okay? So that's what happens if someone is on a land register and they may have, they are deceased. So that's how you do that. I also would like to just say another thing about the land register is that when you are selling a property or when you have a land register, just so you know, this is how just like a typical land register look. I don't know if you can see it clearly or not. This is how your title looks. I would always like to say to you, if you are selling a property on the land register, there is always a survey reference number, and it has a J number. So it could be J1, 6, whatever it may be. Always look to see if you have a J number. The reason for looking for this is because this is going to indicate if this property also has been surveyed in a true form, or if you need to get this surveyed. Why is that important? When you decide to sell the property, your purchaser is going to ask you for a survey certificate to make sure all the boundary markers are in place, to make sure there are no encroachments, just to make sure the property has been properly surveyed and there are no issues with encroachments or anything as such. So you would need a survey certificate. Looking at the land register will give you an indication as to if a survey was actually done on this property. This is something that is very common, especially in the outer islands like North Caicos and about, especially where you have a lot of generational property as well and a lot of large tract of land. Sometimes they're not really surveyed out. So you want to make sure that your land register is giving you a survey reference number. And usually it starts with a J. We normally call it a J number. If your land register does not have a J number, it doesn't mean that you cannot sell the land, but also sometimes it means just that the process may take a little while or may hinder the deal from closing as fast as it should, because sometimes the process in which you need to go through to get its survey may take a little while. So this is something you want to think about when you are listing a property for sale. So again, take a look at your land register. Look at the area where it says survey reference and look to see if it has a J-file number. This J-file number, you can actually order this J-file number and it will actually give you an indication of the survey when it was done and the details of how the property was surveyed. Okay, so if you don't have one, you should think about that when you are selling a property, because the end results could be delayed because you do not have that property surveyed. Okay, because remember, everything is a process. In terms of surveying it, remember you have to contact a surveyor. They then have to go to the property, inspect the property, and see exactly what's happening. They actually have to deal with planning. They have to deal with land registry department. They have to deal with the land survey department. So it takes a while. It is a process. So that's something very important to know. And again, especially if you are have a property on one of the outer islands. And I've seen it a lot more, especially in North Caicos, where most land registers do not have a J reference number. You want to make sure of that so you can have that survey ready when it's time to sell your properties. Okay? All right, no questions. I'll keep going. If you have a question, please leave it in the comment section. If you do not, then I will keep going on. Right. The next point I would like to talk about is that mutation. If you are selling your property, yes, this is a part about listing your property for sale. You do have persons who come along sometimes and they say, you know what, I want to list this property for sale, but I only want to sell just a portion of that property. Okay, so if you are selling, but you only want to sell a portion of that lot, right? Before you can sell it, I like to advise you that one, you have a surveyor check the lot and advise on how best to have it subdivided. All lots are not square or rectangular in shape. Some are irregular in shape. And you don't want to just assume because it is this shape, oh, I can get 10 lots out of a 1 acre property. I'm just using an example. I'm not saying planning is going to approve 10 lots out of a 1 acre property. So please don't go back and say, Vernica say 10 lots I can get out of a 1 acre property. But my point of it is that you want to have a surveyor check the lot and advise you on how best to subdivide. One of the reasons for this is because the surveyor is actually going to consider the setbacks that is necessary for that subdivision, right? They're going to consider the best location to put in the road, right? And once you can find the best location for the road and consider the setbacks, then you will be able to determine best how many lots this property can be subdivided into, okay? Right, so basically, like I was saying just a little bit from the top, if you're considering mutating a portion of your land for sale, before you can sell it, have a surveyor check the lot and advise the best way to subdivide, right? Then after doing that, then you will need to have final block and parcel numbers before you can sell the land. So once the surveyor has submitted this drawing to the planning department, planning has to first approve the subdivision. Once the subdivision is approved by planning, then the next step is to then have land survey be involved in terms, because now the pins need to go down and land survey department has to check and make sure that all the coordinates are correct and that everything is in order. Once land survey has given the approval, then the next step is you need to take it to the land registry department so that you can get the final lot numbers for each of the lots in the subdivision. So basically the process has 3 stages: planning department, land survey department, and land registry. I just want to share my screen just for one quick second, just to give you a little visual of it. Probably that will be good and helping you to understand it a little better. So I just want to share my screen. Share. Right. I'm hoping that you can see my shared screen. Right? So this is just a quick example of how it works. So like I say, your original lot number, of course, I'm putting block 60902/33, but it's just a make-believe number. So this isn't the shape of this parcel or anything. That's my disclaimer. So don't go looking on a map to see that this lot shapes just like this square. So the original lot, block and parcel say, so Vernica Delancy owns 60902/33. And this is my parcel number, and this is how my parcel is shaped. I decide that, okay, I would like to subdivide this lot into 2 portions because I'm thinking that, you know what, I can live on one. I mean, probably I can this, and I'm just saying out loud, this is 1 acre. And I'm thinking that, you know what, I can use ½ acre to build my home on it. And I can use the other ½ acre to sell to help me start the construction of my building. So that's why I want to subdivide this lot so that I can get some additional income. So This is my parcel lot number 33. This is the original step. Now, so this is step 2. So now I need to have this property mutated. So we're still dealing with 60902, but it's going to be now mutated into two halves, because remember I said I want to cut it in half, stay on one, sell the other half, right? So at this stage, this lot property has to, like I say, you have to get a surveyor to actually draw out the lot and submit this to planning. At this stage, we now have tentative parcels, lot number 31, part 1, and lot 33. Yes, I'm saying 33, but saying 31. Lot 33, part 1, and lot 33, part 2. So this is my subdivided lot that I'm looking to do. At this stage, you cannot sell part 1. If you decide to sell part 1, the process you still have to wait for the process. Why am I explaining this in this slide? I find customers from time to time, because there's limited inventory on the market sometimes, they want to research and they want to do sales with individuals who are doing stuff like this, subdividing. And sometimes they don't understand fully how long the process takes. And that's why this exercise is to help you to understand better that it's not an overnight process. And you have to go through all of these phases before they are able to sell the property to you. So they can make a commitment to you that they will sell you this property, but they can not actually give you title to it until it has gone through all of these steps. So at this time, back to this diagram, our surveyor has on paper cut the parcel in half, 2 tentative numbers, and this has to now be submitted to the planning department. Planning department then will have to approve the subdivision. Okay, once the subdivision is approved, now like I said, and it's already gone through the land surveyor process where all the boundary markers are in place and land survey has agreed to the subdivision, then it has to be registered with the land registry department where it receives the final registered numbers. So this parcel is no longer lot 33, but instead it's 2 different numbers, which is lot 38 and lot 39. Only at this stage are you able to transfer a title from to lot 39 if you are selling lot 39 or lot 38, whichever you want to do. But you want to realize that the numbers are now different. So we're not dealing with number 33 anymore, like at the top here, which is part 33 and part 1 and part 2. But now we're looking at lot 38 and lot 39, because you have gone through the process of establishing new parcel numbers, which now enables you to sell this property to whomever that individual may be. All right. So I'm just going to stop sharing the screen. Right. So basically, like I say, just to reiterate, if you are considering mutating a portion of your land for sale before you can sell it, you have to get the property surveyed, contact a surveyor who's going to take it through the planning process, help you take it through the land survey process, and even some of them help and take it through the land registry process so that you can get the final numbers. If you are not prepared to wait through the process, then I would advise you, to look for something that's already mutated. However, that's why I normally say to people who are listing their properties, go through the process first. Have the property ready, because sometimes buyers do not have the patience to wait as long, because sometimes the process may take a while. Now, sometimes the process can move quickly, but remember, everything has deadlines, everything has to meet meetings, and so these are things you have to take into consideration. So have all those in order before you decide to list your property. Okay, I hope that's clear about deciding to mutate a property before you can list it for sale. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to put it in. No questions, then we're moving on, and we're going to be wrapping it up soon, because this section is actually for question and answers. And I don't want to keep talking because I can talk all day. Real estate is my main job. This is what I do. So, but I don't want to bore you with information. I just want to get the right information out to you in a timely manner, and I'm here to answer your questions. So just a quick rundown. Like we say, listing a property for sale, normally it's around 6 months to 1 year. You know, can you use more than one real estate company to list your property? Yes, you can, but it's just that you need one agreement, and both companies have to be in agreement with the listing agreement, and both companies have to sign it, right? When you're listing someone's property for sale, each owner is required to make sure that you have a copy of the register. And the purpose of that is to ensure that you are selling the correct property. And if there are more than one owners on a property, all of those individuals will need to sign that agreement giving you permission to sell that property, right? We have to make sure that we're selling and everyone is in accordance. You don't want your sister or your brother coming next week and saying, we never gave you permission to sell, whereas two of the siblings have given permission to sell. So that's very important in any agreement, everyone who's on the land register. And of course, like we said before, if someone's name is on the register and they are deceased, you want to make sure to deal with those title little discrepancies before as well. Probate, administrate, or if it's a case of just a spouse, if it's a joint proprietorship, you can move forward with the sale, and it's an easier process. All right. And definitely, if you want to list a property for sale before, in terms of mutation, then you want to make sure get the mutation sorted out before you put that property on the market for sale, or else the purchaser will have to be prepared to wait until it goes through that process, right? So that's really what it is. There are two more things I just want to quickly say, and then we're wrapping it up because we have no questions, right? If someone is listing a property for sale for you, I would like to say on every land register, again, you will have a section that will tell you just at the below here if a certificate was issued or not issued. You can look at your title, and it will tell you if you had a land certificate that was issued, that land certificate will need to be to come forward at the time of any sale. So if you don't have the original land certificate, if it was lost or stolen or whatever had happened to it, you would need to make that known to the land registry department, where they can advertise in the Gazette of it being, and they can replace it so that the sale can move forward. So basically, you cannot sell that property if you were given an original land certificate. And if you still don't understand the concept, your attorney is able to help you with that. And they do this kind of work all the time, where they can help you retrieve that again, and then be able to assist you with the sale of your property. That it sounds simple, but it's a very important component of selling your property. And just so you know, there's only one land certificate that is issued. So if 4 people own a property, only one land certificate will be issued. Okay? So, but that is necessary when you are selling a property if you did receive a land certificate. The land certificate looks different from the land register, but some people, especially a lot of the older properties, they were actually issued a certificate stating that they are an owner of the land. So that will be needed at the time of a sale. Okay? So, and the last thing I want to say, that if you are interested in listing your property, it doesn't mean with myself or any agent, these are the things you would need. You would need to provide your block and parcel number, right? A copy of your land register. Again, if you don't have it, your agent can assist you in acquiring that land register. It's very easy to obtain, or you can obtain it yourself through the land registry department. Normally a cost of a register is around $25. So that's very straightforward and can be done. You would also, after your agent received that register, a price will be recommended once the agent has a minute to inspect the land or view the home and do the comparables, right? And then once all of this is completed, then you will provide it with all documents to sign, giving them permission to move forward with a listing. So just let me repeat that for the last time. Selling your property, you need your block and lot number or a copy of your land register where that information is obtained. Once that is received, so that the agent can verify the ownership of the property, a price will then be recommended by the real estate agent. And what the agent will do in terms of getting that price to you, they will definitely go and take a look at the property so they can know what they're selling, take a look at the home so they can see the condition of the home and see everything that's happening, the location, everything else, and then they will do their comparables. Once you are in agreement with what the list price is, then that agent will provide you with documents to sign to move on with any listing agreement. So with that said, I think that's a lot of information for one day. And again, this show is just about telling you, educating you about real estate in the Turks and Caicos Islands. If there ever is a topic you would like for me to speak about, I'm always open to do so, because this is just not about me, but this is about us learning together about real estate in the Turks and Caicos Islands. So since there aren't any questions, I will say to you until next time, stay safe and remain blessed. Have a very, very, very good evening. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed on this show belong solely to Let's Talk TCI Real Estate and not that of Keller Williams TCI or any of its affiliates. Any action you take upon the information provided on this show is strictly at your own risk, and Let's Talk TCI Real Estate guest or host will not be liable for any losses and damages in connection with the use of the material. I am not an investment advisor, broker, or dealer.